Emotional control is not suppression. It's the training yourself to respond, not react. And that is one of the most misunderstood lesson in life because people assume that control means berating how you feel, lock it away and pretending it doesn't exist. But suppression is weakness, not strength. Because suppressed emotions eventually explode, and control is the opposite. It is mastery, it is awareness, it is being able to look at what you feel and say, I see you, I acknowledge you, but you do not get to run the show. You do not get to dictate my choices, my words, or my actions because my higher self, my disciplined self, my purpose driven self is in charge. And when you operate like this, you immediately separate yourself from the majority of people who live as slaves to their emotions and do not even realize it. Think about how many times you have seen someone destroy their credibility in a single moment because they react instead of responded. Maybe they lashed out in anger. Maybe they broke down in fear. Maybe they made a desperate choice in loneliness and afterward they regretted it because emotions feel powerful in the moment but are temporary, while the consequences of reacting to them can last for years. That is why learning the difference between responding and reacting is not just a skill, it is survival. It determines whether you remain in control or whether you hand over control to the chaos around you. Before reacting is impulsive, but responding is intentional. Reacting comes from weaknesses, but responding comes from strength. When you train yourself to respond, you give yourself time and space. You learn to pause, to breathe, to observe before acting, and this pause is whether your power is found because in that pause you remove the intensity of the emotion. You strip it of its claws and you remind yourself that you are bigger than a single feeling. You remind yourself that you have goals, values, and standards that means more than temporary emotional satisfaction. The person who trains this way becomes untouchable because they are not easily provoked, not easily swayed, and not easily manipulated. And the truth is, most of the world is built on manipulation of emotion, whether it is fear, anger, or desire. Companies use it, leaders use it, even people in relationships use it. And if you have not trained yourself to respond instead of react, you are contrary at the mercy of others. Imagine someone insult you in public. The natural reaction is anger. Your ego wants to defend yourself, to fire back, to prove something. But if you react, you have already lost. You have given the other person exactly what they wanted. They pushed a button and you obeyed. But if you respond, you stay calm. You keep your dignity and you make them look small without even trying. Because your composure itself becomes power. This is the art of control. This is where respect is earned, and it has nothing to do with suppressing the anger. It has everything to do with acknowledging it and refusing to let it dictate your behavior. That is how the strong operate, and it is why they command authority without even raising their voice. Training yourself this way is not easy. It requires discipline, daily practice, and relentless self awareness. You must catch yourself in the act of reacting and force yourself to step back. Ask questions like, why am I feeling this? What triggered it? Is this reaction going to move me closer to my goals or further away? Will it make me stronger or weaker? Will it build my reputation or destroy it? When you ask these questions, you take back control from the heat of the moment and you begin to train your mind like a warrior train their body with repetition, with focus, with discipline, until eventually your default is no longer reaction but response, no longer impulse but intention. People who master this do not live without emotion, They live with power over emotion, and that is critical difference between emotion will always exist. They are part of being human. But when you master them instead of letting them master you, you are free. Free to think clearly under pressure, free to choose your world with precision, free to make decisions that are aligned with your highest values instead of your lowest impulses. And that freedom is what creates influence, authority, and dominance in any environment, whether in business, leadership, or personal relationships. When you walk into a room with this level of control, people feel it. They may not be able to explain it, but they sense it because your energy is steady, calm, and unshakable while everyone else is vibrating with anxiety or tension. You are centered. You do not use to prove yourself. You do not need to react to every word or gesture. You simply observe, calculate, and respond only when necessary. And this makes people second guess themselves around you. It makes them more careful. It makes them respect you because your lack of reactivity shows that you cannot be played. You cannot be provoked, and that is rare in a world where most people are slave of their every passing emotion. So do not confuse control with suppression. Suppression is weakness disguised as strength. But true control is mastery. It is awareness plus discipline plus action. It is the ability to sit with your emotions, recognize them, but not let them control you. And when you achieve this, you carry a power that paralyzes others because they cannot pull you into their chaoses. They cannot shake your foundation and they cannot dictate your behavior. And that is when you begin to win in silence, dominate without effort, and command without words because your presence alone communicates strength that other cannot ignore. Building emotional resilience is about deliberately hardening the mind so that it bends under pressure but never breaks. It is the process of training yourself to not only endure discomfort but to use it as fuel, to take what is meant to weaken you and turn into it armor. And that begins with how you interpret pain, setback, rejections, and challenges. Because most people see difficulty as punishment, while the strong sees it as a preparation. They see it as the training ground that forge mental toughness. Because no one develops resilience and comfort. No one grows strength in easy time. And no one becomes unshakable by being constantly protected from pain. The very thing that most people try to avoid are the things that shape resilience in those who choose to face them. When life throws obstacles, most people break because they are conditioned to believe struggle is abnormal. They complain, they panic, they look for someone to blame or rescue them. But those who are building resilience see these moments differently. They see pain as feedback, pressure as a test, adversity as a classroom. And instead of asking why me, they ask what can I learn? How can I use this? What new layer of strength is being built inside me right now? This shift in mindset is the first weapon of resilience. Because when you stop resisting pain and start welcoming it, you strip it of its power to destroy you and you turn it into power that strengthens you. Resilience is also about self regulation, about teaching yourself not to be thrown into chaos every time circumstances get tough. Imagine you are under attack verbally, emotionally, or mentally. Resilience is not reacting to every shot fired. It is not collapsing into victimhood. It is the calm awareness that says, I have been there before. I know how to absorb this and I will come out stronger. That calms come from training, from putting yourself through controlled discomfort, whether it's pushing through grueling physical workouts, standing firm in difficult conversation, or practicing silence in moment where you want to lash out. Every repetition teach your nervous system that you can endure more than you think. And that endurance is what builds the confidence to face even greater storm without breaking. The resilient mind also understands that failure is not fatal. It is simply the information, and this is where most people sabotage themselves because the moment they fail, they label themselves as failure. They internalized it, they take it as a proof that they are not enough. But resilient people reframe failure instantly. They extract the lesson, they adjust the strategy, and they keep moving. This refusal to identify with failure is one of the most powerful form of resilience because it means you never get stuck in the question of self-pity. You remain in motion, and motion itself creates strength. Resilience thrives in momentum while weakness thrives in stagnation. Emotional resilience is also built by cutting out dependency on external validation. Because if your sense of worth, confidence, and strength come from what other gives you, then it can be taken away in a second. The resilient individual build an inner world that cannot be touched by external opinions. Their sense of worth is rooted in discipline, in their ability to endure, in their ability to control themselves, and in their commitment to their mission. When you detach from the need for approval, criticism loses its sting, praise loses its control, and you become untouchable because no one can manipulate your emotion with either flattery or insult. You stand steady in your own foundation. And other layer of resilience come from exposure to controlled stress, deliberately seeking situations that test you instead of waiting for life to throw them at you. This is why challenges must be part of your training, because if you only practice resilience when you are forced into it, you are always playing catch up. But when you deliberately put yourself into difficult conditions, whether it's enduring silence, building patience, practicing discipline, when no one is watching, or forcing yourself to complete tasks when exhausted, you are conditioning your mind for strength. And the stronger your conditioning, the less you fear whatever life throws your way, because you already know you can take it. You already know you can endure it, and you already know you can rise after it. Resilience is not just about your endurance, it also about what you refuse to allow. It's about boundaries, because every time you tolerate disrespect, every time you allow toxic energy to drain you, every time you let people manipulate your emotion, you weaken your inner fortress. Resilience is built by refusing to allow poison into your environment, refusing to participate in cycle that breaks you down, and standing firm on the standards you set for yourself, even if it means walking alone. Resilience is not just strength in enduring attacks, it is also strength in refusing unnecessary battle, conserving energy, and choosing wisely where to engage. Because not every fight is worth your presence. Not conserving your power is also resilience. It is important to realize that resilience is not something you suddenly discover in a single moment of crisis. It is something you have been training for all along. It is hundreds of small decisions where you choose to push through instead of quit, to stay calm instead of explode, to endure instead of collapse. And every single one of those choices is like a brick in the fortress of your mind. By the time the storm comes, your fortress is ready. While others crumble to build walk in the middle of chaos, your walls already stand tall and unshakable because you trained along before you needed them. Resilience in its purest form is silent. You don't need to broadcast it. You do not need to declare it. People will see it when they try to shake you and you do not move. They'll feel it when they attack you and you stay calm. They'll feel it when they attack you and you stand calm. They will know it when they try to manipulate you and you do not bend. Resilience paralyzes people because it reminds them of what they lack. It reminds them of their own fragility, and in that moment, your strength exposes their weaknesses. This is why resilience is so powerful, because it do not only protect you, it command respect. And the more you cultivate it, the more you step into level of mastery where nothing outside of you can dominate what is inside of you. Detaching from emotion is not about becoming cold, robotic, or refueling. It is about reclaiming control over what drives your decision and actions. Most people are enslaved by their emotions without even realizing it. They react instantly to anger, fear, jealousy, or excitement. And in doing so, they hand over their power to others. When someone knows they can provoke you, they own you. When they know they can flatter you, they manipulate you. And when they know they can scare you, they dominate you. The mind that has not been trained to detach is like a puppet pulled by strings. But the mind that can learn detachment is free. It cannot be controlled because it is no longer ruled by emotional impulses. Training yourself to detach begins with awareness. Most people don't even notice when they are being triggered. They act, they lash out, they cry, they panic, and only later realize what happened. But detachment requires you to pause in that moment to emotional spark to see what is happening before you give it energy to observe the feeling without instantly feeding it. When you master this pause, you break the automatic cycle that most people are trapped in. You create a gap between stimulus and response. And in that gap lies your power because in that gap you decide whether to react or remain unmoved, whether to feed the fire or let it burn out. Detachment also means not attaching your identity to every emotion that passes through you. You can feel anger without becoming an angry person. You can feel sadness without drowning in depression. You can feel fear without living as coward. Emotions are temporary signals. They are not defining of who you are. But when people identify with their emotions, they reinforce them. They become slave to them and they live dictated by temporary feeling instead of long-term purpose. Detachment is reminding yourself that feelings are just waves, and while they may rise, crash, and roar loudly, you are the ocean, vast, steady, and unmoved by surface storm. This level of detachment is what makes you dangerous in a world full of people controlled by feelings. Imagine being in a conflict where everyone is shouting, panicking, or trying to prove themselves, and you are the one sitting calm, steady, unshaken. That calmness is not weakness, it is power. Because the one who is calm sees more clearly, thinks more sharply, and acts more decisively. Detachment creates mental clarity, and mental clarity creates dominance. Because when others are blinded by their rage or fear, you are free to analyze, strategize, and move with precision. In silence, you win. Not because you outshouted anyone, but because you never allowed emotion to cloud your judgment. Detachment is also about refusing to let people's words define you. Complaints, insults, criticism, and praise all have the same trap. They are designed to hook your emotions, and once hooked, you can be controlled. When someone praises you and you need that praise, you will start bending yourself to earn more of it. When someone insults you and you feel the need to defend yourself, you are already under their control. The moment you are triggered, you have given them access to your power. But detachment means you remain the same. Whether praised or insulted, you remain steady. Whether loved or hated, because you understand that their words reveals more about them than they ever do about you. And by refusing to react, you remain untouchable. This kind of emotional mastery requires practice, and the training ground is daily life. You will encounter disrespect, rejection, lose, and pain, and each one is an opportunity to practice detachment instead of rushing into defense or retaliation. Practice stillness instead of internalizing criticism. Practice observation instead of absorbing other people's negativity. Practice letting it pass through you without striking. Every repetition builds strength, and slowly you will notice that things that once shatter you no longer touch you. Insults that once cut deep now fall flat. Losses that once paralyzed you now sharpen your drive. This is not numbness, this is strength. Because nothing outside of you has the ability to break what you refuse to surrender. Detachment also requires discipline in what you allow into your mental space. Because your environment is constantly feeding your emotion, whether through people, conversation, media, or situation. And if you do not guard that gate, you will be constantly manipulated. If you surrounded yourself with toxic people, your emotions will constantly be under attack. If you feed yourself negative information, your state of mind will constantly be disturbed. But when you are intentional, when you filter what deserves your attention and what doesn't, you begin to train your mind to only respond to what aligns with your purpose. Everything else becomes background noise, unworthy of your energy. The more you detach from unnecessary emotional triggers, the more ruthless your mind becomes. Because ruthlessness is not about cruelty, it is about clarity. It is about stripping away the distraction, the manipulation, the noise, and focusing only on what matters. And when your mind reaches this state, people cannot understand you. They cannot predict you and they cannot control you. You move when you decide to move, not when you are provoked. You speak when it serves your mission, not when you are baited. And you choose what deserve your energy with surgical precision. This is how detachment becomes dominance, because while everyone else is bleeding out their power through reactions, you are conserving yours, ready to strike with precision when it matters most. This is how you train yourself to detach and build a mind that is unshakable. Thank you for being here.